And ultimately, we touched on it a little earlier, but it was a values disconnect. If you look at my top values, they're freedom and autonomy and community. And I'm sitting in a model home by myself, making more money than I know what to do with, but I only see 4 people a week and I'm tied to a garage and I can only leave for 2 weeks a year. And it's like, it didn't matter if they were paying me $2 million a year, I would have been miserable. And I think until I call it right map, wrong mountain, we're given this prescription of how to live our lives and that money will solve all of our problems. And I tell people, and most people, they're 40 or 50 years old when they figure that out. That's when they have a midlife crisis, right? They realize they've been on the wrong mountain the whole time, following the map given to them by someone that was going to lead to happiness and success and all these things. And they get there and they say, is this all there is? And they don't know what they did wrong. Well, they didn't do anything wrong. We're just not taught to think that way. And I was fortunate to learn it at a young age. And ultimately, that's what became the Waves method and the things that made it into the book 20 years later. But it was my way of making decisions so that I never found myself in that place again. And I think builders in particular are subject to this or susceptible to this because a lot of us come out of the trades or you start with smaller projects and then you're doing kitchens and baths and then, okay, I'm going to build a little addition. Okay. Next thing you know, you're building $2 million custom homes and 40 years has gone by and you're divorced and your kids don't know who you are. And, all of these things, because it easily can start to swallow you up, unless you're really intentional about where you want it to go, but most importantly, why.
No, I completely agree with that. Like we're all on these paths, and a lot of times there's a disconnect. And like you said, you start out doing one thing, and then next thing it morphs into something else, and you're sitting there going, how did we even get here? Like, and you basically just have a job for yourself, and you don't we too often, especially in construction, we lose sight of why we start something because we get so down into it and just like, well, it's just the next project would do this differently, and then we don't change a whole lot, and we just stay in this cycle where it's just like we're just surviving, and there's
Mhm.
no real trying to create this lifestyle. When the construction business is great, being in construction is great if we just looked at it as not construction. If we just said, hey, I have a business, it just so happens to be construction, we could change so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so I do calls with people. They're called 20-minute blueprint calls, and they're really just designed. Why do I do them for free? I get that question all the time because it keeps my thumb on what people are experiencing in their business. And I might do 10 calls a week, and maybe only one of those is a right fit to work together, but they're all valuable. We help them figure out kind of what are the number one bottlenecks in their business and why. And then if it's a fit, we move on to a strategy call. And that's what I was doing right before I hopped over to you. And I'll show you, I don't know if you'll be able to see this on the screen, but we build these triangle models. And my goal is for you to have your best year ever. And that may or may not mean money. It may mean 6 weeks of vacation. And if you look, it says no phone vacation. And everyone, I'm going to guess listening right now, is like, F you, no phone on vacation. That's impossible. And that's exactly why that's the goal, because that's our first 6 weeks of a year-long program is, if you've built a healthy business, if you can walk away and it doesn't die without you there. Otherwise, it's exactly what you just said. You've built yourself a job, which is fine if that's what you want. Most people didn't start this business because they want to do what they want when they want the time freedom. And now they're working 80 hours a week and they don't know how to get off the treadmill.
Yeah, because that's like you said, most people started it because they want some of that freedom. They want some of that ability